Hey, everybody. The NFL draft is just about 2 weeks from now. And what started out as an NFL draft that was to feature three quarterbacks. Guess what? It features one, and one for the first time since the 2010 NFL draft in New York City. And that was one that this vlogger, me, covered. Uh, in fact, I've covered a credential to cover each NFL draft over the past 20 years. Well, technically 21 years. At any rate, um, what is different this time, however, is that Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson is the only quarterback invited to attend the show that is the NFL draft that's coming up. The last quarterback to have that distinction was Oklahoma quarterback Sam Bradford. That was at the 2010 NFL draft in New York. And for that 2010 NFL draft, the NFL stage got even bigger. It was the first time the NFL draft was held in prime time. Yet only Sam Bradford was the quarterback, and that was because he was in New York, and Tim Tebow was there as well because he was drafted. But Tim Tebow was not there. Excuse me. Tim Tebow was drafted by the Denver Broncos, but he did not attend the NFL draft in New York. He was not invited to attend the NFL draft in New York. The show was for Sam Bradford, just for Sam Bradford. In those days, new media was still a new concept, and live streaming was used by a handful of organizations, including Zenny 62 Media for the NFL draft, starting in 2007. Since then, however, getting more than one quarterback has been the production focus of every NFL draft, with two and at times three and as many as four, yes, four top quarterbacks on the marquee for the NFL's other big event. The big event really being the Super Bowl, right? In fact, the very next year, 2011, brought a made for NFL draft quarterback battle between Auburn's Heisman Trophy winner and national champion Cam Newton and Missouri's quarterback Blaine Gabbert. Remember that little tete-a-tete, if you will. Technically, for me, it wasn't much of a contest at all because the idea that Gabbert was more talented than Cam Newton was the creation of racism in the media of the day. All kinds of lies were told about Cam Newton and Blaine Gabbert in an attempt to devalue Cam and overvalue Blaine. Ultimately, it did not work. Cam Newton was taken number one by the Carolina Panthers, and Blaine Gabbert, who believed he was the better choice, dropped to the 10th pick in the first round. And to add insult to injury, folks, I still can't get over how funny this is, but it is to me. The Tennessee Titans took Jake Locker from Washington 2 spots ahead of Blaine Gabbert. That's right, at pick 8. Now, Blaine realized he wasn't going to be the number one pick he believed he should have been as early as the NFL draft red carpet for that year, 2011. And so when he did appear at the NFL draft red carpet, he wore a scowl. How do I know? Because it's on my video from that event. Since then, the NFL draft quarterback groupings were far less than tense. In 2012, we had Andrew Luck and RG3. In 2013, we had EJ Manuel and Geno Smith. In 2014, we had Blake Bortles, Johnny Manziel, and Teddy Bridgewater all were invited to attend the NFL draft in New York City. In 2015, the NFL draft was moved to Chicago, which became the first NFL city to host the draft outside of New York City itself since 1964. Then it was expected that Florida State's national champion and Heisman Trophy winner Jameis Winston and Oregon's Marcus Mariota would be in Chicago for the NFL draft. Instead, Winston had his draft party in his home in Bessemer, Alabama, and Mariota had his at home in Honolulu, Hawaii. That left the 2015 NFL draft with no single signal caller of caliber on site. In 2016, the NFL draft returned to Chicago, but with much less drama. Cal quarterback Jared Goff and North Dakota State quarterback, the I thought credibly talented, we can say credibly, reasonably, pretty well talented until he got injured, Carson Wentz, were the people who were favored, and the way the draft went that year, Jared Goff went ahead of Carson Wentz, and if you remember, I believe Patrick Mahomes was drafted a little bit later. Now, in 2017, the NFL draft moved to Philadelphia, but Patrick Mahomes, I might add, was not at the NFL draft. So in 2017, the NFL draft moved to Philadelphia, and there, North Carolina's Mitchell Trubisky and Clemson's Deshaun Watson were the star signal callers invited to attend the draft, but both took back seats to the eventual number one pick, Myles Garrett, defensive end, who didn't even come to Philadelphia and elected to remain at home. The 2018 NFL draft was in Dallas, and that gave us the largest number of quarterbacks ever invited to an NFL draft. 4. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, and Josh Rosen, as well as Lamar Jackson. I say 4, I should have said 5. 5 attended the 2018 NFL draft in Dallas. And in 2019, Nashville saw the top 3 quarterbacks accept invitations: Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, and Drew Lock. Now, Drew Lock eventually fell out in he was drafted, but then late by the Denver Broncos during that event. And now, if we take a look at 2020, well, 2020 was the pandemic. There was no NFL draft anywhere. It was virtual. Cleveland was the place for the 2021 NFL draft. The quarterbacks invited at that point were Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and Mac Jones. Again, 3 quarterbacks. Las Vegas was the site for the 2022 NFL draft, and while Malik Willis and Matt Corral were invited, Matt Corral did not come. He chose to stay at home. As it turned out, his decision was based on where he thought he was going to go in the draft, and it wasn't the first round. So he decided he wasn't going to stay in the green room forever. And so rather than deal with that kind of torture, he stuck around back home, and he was eventually drafted in the 3rd round. As you know, Malik Willis also was not drafted in the 1st round, wound up being drafted in the 4th round, and poor fellow had an awful time in Las Vegas, but since then has adjusted to the NFL and found greener pastures as well. And I mean, when I say greener, I'm referring to money. Now, we take a look at 2023 NFL draft in Kansas City that featured for the first time 3 black quarterbacks invited by the NFL to attend the event. Bryce Young from Alabama, C.J. Stroud from Ohio State, and Florida's Anthony Richardson all came and were drafted 1, 2, and 4 in stunning and historic fashion. In 2024, the NFL brought USC's Caleb Williams, LSU's Jaden Daniels, and North Carolina's Drake May to Detroit. The 2025 NFL draft in Green Bay saw Miami's Cam Ward, Colorado's Shedeur Sanders, and Alabama's Jalen Milroe attend. And that brings us now to Ty Simpson for the 2026 NFL draft. And he's the only quarterback to be invited. But there's an asterisk there. Really, it was supposed to be 2. Fernando Mendoza, elected to stay in Miami and have the party where his mom is, ostensibly because his mother has multiple sclerosis. Now, Ty Simpson isn't the only quarterback that the NFL could have invited. Carson Beck played, although he did lose the national championship game to Indiana, he did play and did, all things considered, quite well. But he wasn't invited. Now, that just leaves Mr. Simpson. And what does this say? It says that, save for Fernando Mendoza, the group of quarterbacks this year coming out is not considered by the NFL as being good enough to be brought to the NFL draft to be put on the big stage. And that over, considering other players. This NFL draft features a record number of outstanding defensive talent coming out from colleges like, Ohio State tops the list. Georgia is another school that produces a number of great defenders coming out in this year's NFL draft. But the bottom line is that quarterbacks are the players that attract the most buzz and the most attention. They're the ones that the press or media personalities talk about and go to cover. All the media personalities that are paying attention to the draft are already booking their hotel rooms for not Pittsburgh, but Miami or wherever the NFL draft party that Fernando Mendoza is planning to hold down there in South Florida. So it's a different world today, and you have to wonder if this means that we're going to have more and more NFL drafts in the future that have one quarterback or maybe none because the quarterback decided, they're not going to attend the draft. What's the real problem here? The real problem is simple. In an era of name, image, and likeness, NIL, the NFL is not paying players to attend the NFL draft, thus respecting their name, image, and likeness market value. And I think that's a bad decision on the league's part. The league is going to have to cough up some money to get players to the NFL draft in order to draw eyeballs and make the draft really the kind of popular, big, well-attended event that it's always been. Today, with this change in media driven by microtechnology, the economics are not like they've ever been before. And people can have their own mini NFL drafts if they're popular players in their hometown. Imagine for the crowd that Fernando would bring in. Hey, I'm thinking, why didn't Fernando choose? I understand why he didn't choose Indiana, but what if he had chosen to stay in Indianapolis and have his draft party? He could have taken over Lucas Oil Stadium and could have had great accommodations for his mother and family to be treated like royalty. I understand his mother has MS, but it's not that she can't travel, because she has traveled to see her son. I think it really has to do with the fact that the NFL was not putting up enough money for Mendoza to want to be in Pittsburgh and take care of his family, including his great mom. So there you have it, folks. I want to hear what you think about this. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube and bookmark NFL News by Zenny62.com. We'll see you.